half the glass if you need to.
Hello and welcome everybody, we're back! Aren't we?
I think so. Is there anybody else here in the room? There's you. Hey, man.
Yeah. I'm right here, even though I'm really not. But we are in a virtual room right now. Guess what? The corner is back for all you one listener out there who's listening to this, and that would be me from the future.
Well, who knows, man? Maybe like 1,000 years from now, some aliens are gonna like pick up the recording and be like, "Who the fuck are these guys? They were on to something."
Yeah. And most importantly, because let's just dial this back, because now we're running, now we're going. So the thing is, we're like, over the past year, I think our last episode was uploaded in around the same time as this one is out. So like June or July last year, we called it Summer Conversation. And then it kind of died down because I was writing my master's and like being obsessed with it. Got an A for it, by the way, so that was nice. But then after that, and like after September, and after like the initial like, yeah, you gotta go out and party in the city and fucking drink myself to death. Well, didn't do that. But like after that, I was like, shit, I can't actually use this shit for anything. I mean,
No, exactly. Like I was going to like come here and come in here, and I'm just going to say like, yeah. So it probably like feels like you're going around town naked, saying like, please, can I get a job? I can do anything. I can do anything. I can get on my knees.
Yeah. And it was kind of like, it's kind of like a weird double-sided feeling. Because, or what do you call it, two-faced feeling. No, ambiguity. It's ambiguity is what it is. Because on the one hand, I've just written a master's thesis that got an A, and that I can still, I mean, I might not be able to use it to get a job, but I can use it when I talk to people, like socially, new people that I meet. When I talk with you, when I talk with people from my dorm, with my family. Socially, this education has been a huge help for me to be able to be more engaging, be more interesting, be more emphatic. But the problem is still that it's hard to turn that into cash. But the good thing about living in Denmark is you actually are much less dependent than all you Americans who might be listening to this, who really don't have this unemployment check. You know, like here in Denmark, once you have your thesis, then you can get this, what do you call it, day money, where from day one where you're unemployed and you have your master's thesis, then you have 1 year where you can get basically it's 12,000 not after taxes, 12,000 before taxes, and
right. But that's the like lower end of it though. Like if you had been working for a year or earned X amount of cash, you would have been like on the higher end of it.
For the first 3 months, I was on. Let's take this in. Yeah, let's take it in euros, because that's a lot of people can understand that. So for the first 3 months after my master's, I was on 1,800 euros a month before taxes. You still have to pay taxes from it, and after those 3 months, I still haven't gotten a job. I went down to 1,600 euro a month, just for doing that. Just like, well, I mean, I am like, you do have to like send these fucking bullshit applications to companies, and I say bullshit Because at the start I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get some fucking job eventually because like I'm just going to put a lot of effort into do this. But the more you do this, the more it just becomes an automated, slow, kind of like crappy process.
I wanna jump in
Yeah.
here. I'm sorry. So like you primarily took your education because you were looking for a job,
Yeah.
right? Like most
Sure.
people, right? And now that you have like taken it, do you feel like the job market is more oversaturated than it is when you went in taking this?
Yeah,
education?
definitely, and it's
Right.
it has a lot to do with AI, of course. It is the number one problem during this age, and nobody could have seen that coming. I mean, it's brand new. It started in 2021.
But also, you have like globalization. Like, if there is somebody that would be able to like do the jobs that you are like looking for remotely from fucking India, and this person is like, yes, I can do this for $200 a month.
Yeah.
Then somebody will be thinking like, shit, we can do this and fucking pay a fraction of what we would pay in Denmark. And this isn't just in like your line of work. This is also like regarding graphics jobs and animation jobs. Where, like everything that can be outsourced will be outsourced.
Yeah.
Right. And this is like creating like a gap, I believe. This is creating like a big gap in society because because how it functions now is that you get an education, you don't get a job, so you become unemployed. And now you got like one option, or you got like two options. It's just to like stick with it and continue to like hope and pray for that you can get a job and beat the other 100 applicants for whatever job you're looking for. Or it is to like adapt yourself and go into a different kind of like field of work, like I did. Remember that I worked as like a construction planner for almost 2 years.
For
then I became
what
unemployed.
Was that fab company's name?
Avrodan. Avrodan.
Yeah, right.
Oh fuck. So, and then I become unemployed, and I'm unemployed for, well, technically it is 6 months, but I'm on unemployment for 3 months since I was still paid full salary for 3 months after leaving.
Yeah.
Due to my contract. But after this, like I didn't get like any kind of like jobs at all. Like no job offers. I applied and I sent 100 applications a week for everything.
Nah, not 100 applications a week. And that would be a lot of
because
especially I mean, like to think about it this way, like I'm using ChatGPT to pre-write most of my applications, and then I just need to like do cosmetic work and proofread it afterwards. And I already think that writing 2 a week is a lot of work because you have to like you not only have to write it and send it, you also have to document it into this fucking alienated, fucking dead, dehumanized system where you then have to document everything. Like basically have a backup of everything that you write has to be put in there too. So writing 100 a week, I don't see how that's even possible.
Because I didn't like specialize every application. Like when I like didn't get any answers for a week or whatever, then I just like started sending the same thing over and over and over again, just changing like the title for the job in the application. You understand?
Okay. So basically like a resume.
So just like bombarding everybody, right, with this. But you know, like nothing worked, right? And it's a horrible feeling because, like I said, like it feels like you're walking around naked and wanting to get on your knees to like suck a dick for a job. And you're not getting any results. So eventually, I had to like change the course and just take a job at a warehouse as a temp.
Yeah, but the like, and now I'm actually interested in asking your process on that change, because for me, like, it took a long time. Granted, maybe I'm a little bit privileged too, that I was like, I'm just going to apply for mostly jobs in my own field, but a little bit broader. I mean, I'm not going to apply for any jobs that don't have like where you don't have to have an education. So I was applying for jobs where you have to have experience in education because I thought they were going to be interesting. Now I've of course branched out into like more. But the thing is, like, while I was just applying for all these jobs and not getting anything, I feel like my motivation for just doing anything like writing or making a podcast or like many of these like project things was falling quite a lot. And it was actually not before I got this job as a, what do you call it, examensvakt. So the dudes that make sure that none of the students are cheating at the finals. I do that now on a temporary basis. It was as soon as I got that I actually was, and started doing that I actually was thinking, damn, now I want to do this podcast again.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, did you have that same kind of change in mental mindset when you went from being unemployed, just sending out applications, and then getting any job?
It was definitely like a relief to get a job.
Yeah.
Right. But it was like also not only that, it was also the relief of like the social aspect of it, because in this forklift job that I got as a temp, there was like 50 people and you were like minding your own business. You could listen to podcasts, you could listen to music, or you could like talk to people. Yeah. And I listened to like Joe Rogan probably every day at this job, right? And I loved it because I always had, because I listened to these podcasts, I always had like a conversation topic, right? And of course like that created like an icebreaker for anyone.
Yeah.
Like for instance, there was this one dude that I drove past on the forklift once, who were like hearing that I listened to that, who says like, "Fuck you listening to that bullshit. gotta listen to Eminem and 50 Cent, man."
Wow.
I think it was from Boston or some shit.
But
so I was like, so let's just call this guy for Ahmed or whatever, right? And I said to Ahmed, "Listen, man, like there's more to the world than just Eminem and 50 Cent and working."
Yeah. But my point was just that you were interested in more than just, that is my point. You were interested in more than just 50 Cent listening to rap music and working. Yeah, so you were interested in like gaining some knowledge in some way, and that way was Joe Rogan. But how was that compared to when you were unemployed before?
Yeah.
Like when you were just sending applications, were you thinking of some project or something? No, exactly.
I was actually just I was just thinking like, fuck, I gotta get a job. Fuck, I gotta get a job. Fuck, I gotta get a job. But also the reason that like when I went to what's it called, the job center.
Yeah. Oh my God, those fucking dead locations where there's just zombies standing there trying to teach you what to do, and it's just stuff that you already know, but you have to listen to it anyway because otherwise you can't get your unemployment check.
Yeah, but like that's one thing. But like I felt like a fucking criminal every time I walked through those doors.
Oh yeah.
Because like you're asking like, why haven't you gotten a job yet? Have you considered working at the cashier at Netto? have you considered moving back to Norway so we don't have to pay you the unemployment money?
Well, actually, at this
That was
point, I'd love to take a cashier job at Netto, but the problem the problem is that you can't get it without most of those people have to be under 18, because then the store doesn't have to pay them so much money. Because I'm over 18, then they have to pay me more money by law.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love a cashier's job, but I can't get it.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
I was just finding a job on Facebook actually where they search for a waiter, but the problem with that is they search for people with waiting experience, at least 2 years. So I can't get that either. So you see, I'm already trying to, because I'm not desperate. I won't call it that. I mean, I've like kind of grown some iron skin with when it comes to this stuff. I mean, I still have like low days, but generally, I will say over this past year, I've just like grown hard skin, and whenever people ask me, I'm just like, no, I have nothing to hide. I mean, it just is fucking hard to get a job in the communication business these days.
Right. Because it is super oversaturated, and this is like what I've been asking also like in previous podcasts, that whenever a university or college in Denmark like gets the government grants to have an education, right, whatever it is, like communication, German, whatever, right, somebody like some committee should be saying, are there actually jobs for every student that finished this course or this degree, right? And then they would be like thinking like, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And then there should be like set demands for like, well, at least 75% of everybody that graduates in this and gets like a master's should be guaranteed a job. And if they can't be that, then there is no reason to have this education, because then we're just wasting the students' time, and we are also like wasting tax money on this education that doesn't yield anything. In fact, is there any kind of like statistic on like how many in your class that graduated got a relevant job after completing the degree?
I can try to find that.
Because I bet you it's like less than half.
Yeah.
It's got to be like less than half.
I mean, I don't need a graph that tells me. I mean, I can see when I see on LinkedIn, most of my study mates, they still have the mark on their profiles that say open to work. So yeah, it is true. But that is because, without going too deep into that now, that is because our world is largely focused on the naturals. Our world is obsessed with numbers rather than words, which is for me, because I'm a humanities guy, that's just a bad situation, because it's like the world is fixated on something that I'm not good at. That doesn't have to be the rule, though, for a society, and it could change in the future. There could come a new renaissance. For instance, during the Renaissance, art and culture was promoted much more than the natural sciences.
But then
it was
also
the first.
Hey man, like then it was like way more fucking respected to get that to get an education.
The first study at university was theology. It was not law or medicine or any of these other faculties. It was theology.
Of course.
So theology was kind of like the root institution of higher academic learning, which had mainly the humanities in it, and then came all these other more math-based educations. So yeah, it could change again.
It could change. Like I hope you're right. If I'm right, it's not going to change. It's only going to get worse. And I think like we're already starting to see that it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Because like how is this going to like end when we already have an oversaturated job market? How is it going to affect it when we start getting more and more advanced AI thrown into the mix?
Yeah.
Maybe even humanoid robots, and we see like a 1-to-1 bot ratio to humans that can like stand in warehouses and pack fucking boxes, or do manual labor.
Yeah.
That's gonna be crazy.
So I just pulled up here the because
like think about this. Like let's say you have a PostNord warehouse or a bestseller warehouse or Amazon warehouse, right? And you just have like a bunch of humanoid bots standing around packing and doing the shit in total darkness because they don't need to have like lights on when it is robots doing the work.
Yeah.
Think about that image for like a second.
Wow.
And then some old man who was like taking his kid or a grandkid or something for a walk, and saying, "Once upon a time, kid, there used to be humans working here. I used to work here."
Wow.
like that's the future that I'm seeing, man, and that's why I'm like pushing this vision on you of scraping enough together in pension and other savings to like move to some island in the Mediterranean where it is still chill in 20 years.
But I mean, in all sincerity, that is why, and I mean, you can. It's not everybody who can do that, obviously, because if everybody did that, then it would become unattractive for that country. Then they couldn't sustain that anymore if everybody did that. So
Of course,
the more sustainable solution is that a lot of people are debating on whether to introduce universal basic income, and we have discussed this on a previous podcast before.
Yes, and I think that is like inevitable. We will get like universal basic income, and it's going to affect like 30 to 50% of the global world population.
Yeah. But in a way we already have that in Denmark, but the problem with the unemployment check that we have here is that we have too much bureaucracy that is checking up on the people being entitled for this stuff, and that all of that is costing a lot of money. I can't remember. I think it's something like several million euros that the Danish government every year is spending on these job centers, salaries, IT systems that need to be in place to check up on people. All of these things that are actually just alienating the people that actually want a job from actually ever getting a job. So it's actually very ineffective. And the argument for universal basic income is actually not a socialist argument. It's actually very liberal, because the liberals want it, because at the end of the day, just paying people a minimum fee, regardless of whether they're entitled to it or not, is cheaper than paying for all this bureaucratic nonsense.
I want you to like picture this for a moment. Say prostitution is legal in Denmark.
Yeah.
Right? Like this, just for cause here, and you go to the job center and you have like a conversation with your contact person there, who's going to ask you if you've gotten a job or how it's going and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then saying to you, have you considered selling yourself? and you're would be going to be like, what? Yeah, prostitute yourself, sell your body. take it up the ass or whatever. There is multiple job openings for that here and here and here and here. Job is the pay is good.
Yeah.
If that was like the case, where are we going with the humanity and our love and care in our socialist country, loving country of Denmark?
Yeah. Fuck, man.
Because that is yeah. So I'm not seeing like Europe heading in a good place. Especially
No.
not if we're like thinking of like dark warehouses manned by robots.
Yeah. But let's just take it back to, I mean, the world situation aside, and whether or not we want to have universal basic income or not. I mean, it could be a good thing on a society scale. But if we take this down to my individual situation right now, now I have been on this day money, which is apparently a lot of
Unemployment.
it's what was it? It was 14,000. Yeah, in the beginning, so that's almost 2,000 euros in the first 3 months as a newly educated, and then you get down to 1,700. But now I've almost been on this unemployment check for almost a year, and then what am I going to do then? Then we have something that's called kontanthjälp, which is...
No, wait, back up. Don't you have unemployment for 2 years?
No, because as an newly educated, which is the dimittent sats, you only have it for 1 year. But ironically, I just checked the fee. No, what's called the sats, the fee for kontanthjälp. No, it's not called fee. Something else. The minimum amount for someone who's 30 years like me and doesn't have children is ironically, and I really don't understand this. It's 12,700. So 1,700 euros, exactly the same as what I'm getting now in day money.
Yeah, the difference is just that you can't have any savings above 10,000 or something.
But that's weird if I get 12,000 every month. So I have to actually... So the difference is that I actually have to apply for this every month. And then they reevaluate if I have less than 10,000 every month.
Yep.
Yeah, so I see that's going to be a little bit higher stress factor. But at the end of the day, on paper, technically, my income should be the same whether I'm on day money or cash help in Denmark. Wow, that's fuck man.
I still think like they should have like done more to help you get a job.
Yeah,
job.
I agree. I completely agree. And now the only reason why I was even like getting motivated to do this podcast again is because I got this guard job at the finals for the students. But that's just this month in June. So I really hope that I have gotten enough motivation to like keep myself going and like do this podcast and like try to get a real job, because what the good thing about a job is, aside from being meaningful and doing something that gives meaning, not just to earn money, but just gives you meaning in general, something you have to do, it also gives you a routine, like something that you have to do from a certain time to another certain time, and then and having that kind of authority, something that you have to do, that is really fulfilling to motivate you.
Yeah.
It actually goes hand in hand with another conversation I would like to have about wants and needs. We could do another podcast episode on that, which is like, what is it that I as a person want, and what is it I need?
Money and sex?
And where do you categorize that? Under wants and under under needs?
Needs.
But probably also under wants, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Because
and now I actually want to hear your, because I've been ranting about this now for a while, and it gets kind of monologue and boring to listen to. I want to like hear your definition of this categorization between what a person wants and what a person needs.
Well, if we're like talking about like needs, then we're just talking about like the basic, right?
Yeah.
What is it that a human basically needs? Well, he needs food, he needs shelter, he needs he needs food and shelter, right? That's like the basic needs of a human. And then of course like it is like then it's all the other basic needs like sex.
Yeah.
That's also there, right? Regardless of people say they don't have it or not. So yeah, I would like categorize that as the three basic needs, right? Food, shelter, and sex, right?
But that's very generic. I would like to, if you could actually just outline what you need and what you want, because then it gets more specific. That would be interesting.
That's a long list.
Yeah, well, we have time. We at least have another half an hour until we're on 1 hour.
Let's see. Like I have like the basics covered there. Like I like at least food and shelter, right? Food, shelter, and a job, right? So I can like provide for myself.
Yeah.
But what I want is a lot more, right? I want total freedom. I don't want to depend on a job like the Mediterranean vision I have, right? I guess like so that's my ultimate goal of like wants. It's like total freedom, right?
Yeah.
To do and go wherever I want.
Yeah.
And then of course like I also like want my kids to grow up healthy and strong, and understand how the world works.
Yeah.
But
the question,
it, right?
the very interesting question now is that also what you need?
I guess.
Yeah. And the word "guess" there is actually interesting, because now we're getting to my point that I just wrote down on my note here, because needs are generally subconscious, right? They're like rooted deep in the brain of our individuals. It is like deep thinking or something from the what do you call it? I don't know. It's not the prefrontal cortex. I think it's the prefrontal cortex that is in charge of the wants, like making decisions right here and now based on our lust, based on what like our drives and stuff like that, like the animalistic drives, right? Whereas the needs are much more rational. So they're like long-term memory. They deal with stuff that it goes back like that we can like rationally analyze and say, is that really what I need? Whereas the wants really just come from being presented with some online offer like, buy this, yay, I want that. Yeah, that very immediate feeling of I want that, but that often overshadows the needs. So now the $1 million question is, if you were to rationally analyze whatever you said there before, would you put an equal sign, and an equal sign is this one, right? would you put an equal sign between what you just listed as your wants and your needs?
Yeah, I would actually, right? But like this is like all. It's all the needs. It's also like very fucking mental regarding like how you're like influenced on it. Like you said, like if you're like watching commercials, you need this, buy this. Come on, like 55-inch TV on Power for sale, 5,000.
Well, no,
Right?
I wouldn't say no. Actually, on the opposite, that's the wants. That is our desires, our immediate desires that are just coming from the day to day. Whereas the needs, they transcend day to day. They go. They can be seen in a pattern over months, over decades, over years. You can't observe your needs in a given day. You have to step outside of yourself. And now we come to the next point that I want to take, is that I want to go to, is that to analyze the needs, maybe we need to actually ask other people, because maybe they can better see what we need than we ourselves. And why? Because our needs are overshadowed by our body that wants things on a daily basis. We're getting into identity studies and intercultural studies, which was my study, which apparently you can't use because nobody knows what it is about. So no business owner is going to sit there and think, you study something with culture? What the fuck is that? I don't know how to make money from that. But that's just because
Numbers.
it's so hard to delineate what it is that you can do with it. But I mean, I was just talking about needs, and needs is the underlying root of what you can target in marketing, for instance. But I would call that exploiting people's needs, or appealing to their wants. Yeah. You would appeal to their wants instead of their needs, and then make it seem like, yeah, you need this, but really you're just appealing to their wants. See, that's the deep kind of analysis that I can do with this education. And see, most marketing is just fucking crap. And that's also why, maybe that is why, and now it's not why I haven't gotten the job yet, but it is why I lost it now. I lost it. I got on a rant there. Gotta be.
You lost.
Yeah, I gotta be on it. But there is something there that is deeply rooted in sociology and psychiatry, talking about people's needs and wants. Understanding that difference can be advantageful in any marketing situation for the company, but not necessarily for the individual. You see, everything in this world has a trade-off. If you do something good in one area, most likely you're going to damage something else.
That's true.
So I am going to just get some water here, and you can maybe just reflect on that a little bit.
Well, I still think that the world is heading in a wrong direction, because we don't really appreciate this. We don't really we seem to be blinded about everything that is happening around us, and we are just, I don't know, it feels like we're losing ourselves as human beings, because we are taking the politicians' word for it and just doing as we are told, like a flock of good sheeps. We are then also again going to social media and using that as a measuring tools for how our lives should be. Social media and TV shows, and it is like so out of proportions that like I don't have any words for it. Like, have you seen any movies lately?
Yeah, I just watched Escape Plan yesterday.
Right.
Or
If you
rewatched
watch
it.
like any of like these movies, if you watch any of these movies that lately, and they're like showing like a so-called average home in Los Angeles, California,
Yeah.
right? It is like, how the fuck is it average to live in a $1.5 million house in LA?
Yeah.
Like, who does that? And it's like pictured like an average family, like making pancakes for breakfast.
Yeah.
And this is like what we as humans are like taking, like, yeah, that is what life should be,
Yeah.
right? But no, because then you get out and you like get an education, and you're like still basing this in the back of your head that like this is what life will be like, but it's not. You're not going to get like a $1 million house. You're gonna get some piece of shit apartment. You're gonna get a girlfriend probably, and you're both going to struggle like hell to make ends meet with bills, and especially if you are having kids.
Mm.
Like, and I gotta say, like, that's gotta be like for Denmark too, because you know, when I still had a girlfriend and we had a kid in kindergarten, and because I made money, right, I had to like then the more here's how it functions in Denmark. Like, if you have a kid in not kindergarten, but like before they get to kindergarten, that daycare thing, they're like charging you based on your income, right?
Oh yeah.
And right. So like when I like got this new job and I was making more money, it was like, hey, we can see that you're earning more money. Yeah. So you gotta pay 750, 800 euros a month for one kid.
Wow.
And that's a lot of fucking money, man. That's almost as much as
That's
I'm
a lot.
paying in rent
I was
now.
just in the old city in Aarhus. So shout out to anyone who hasn't been there in the old city, Den Gamle By, which is basically a open air museum where you can go around to all kinds of buildings that house basically all of Aarhus's history, all the way back to the Viking Age, and then all the way to our modern age. 2014 is the last year they have represented there. And there stood that in 1974 it cost 270 Danish kroners. So that's just a little more than 36 euros to have a kid in daycare a month, or in kindergarten a month. 36 euros a month.
Yeah, that's decent.
And I don't know, like, of course you have to adjust a little bit for inflation as well, but it's still 14 times more that you had to pay today.
Yeah. And
I don't think that inflation will adjust for 14 times more. Plus that the salaries also haven't increased. You just said that you had a higher salary, but still the inflation probably wasn't 14 times higher compared to 1974. So yeah, it is harder to make it these days, partly because and I can explain this. It's not as you would expect, just because we are more people, and with more people, and it's also not just because those more people have a higher expectancy of living standard, because one thing is the number of people, that it makes sense. More people that consume resources, the more those resources are worth, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
But if in addition all those people then start to raise their living standards, so we get more, the population grows, and the individual starts to put more requirements for living standards. So each person will also wants to consume more resources. Then of course that's going to put a strain on the economy. Of course, then there's going to be shortage of resources if every person demands more resources, and if we get more and more people. And then add on top of that what I wrote down here, that social media is overstimulating us, with bombarding us with loads of content, with possibilities to do that. So we get exhausted, we get mentally exhausted, and couple that with that all of this is getting digitalized, and digitalization at the end of the day is a way to make the world more abstract, make it less physical. So we have these 4 factors in play already. We have overstimulation of society, we have abstractification of society, we have higher requirements for each of the individuals to our living standard, and we have overpopulation. Those 4 factors, and and is that surprising that our society then are cracking, are fragmented and polarized? I don't think so. I think it actually makes a lot of sense if I just put it in that way.
Yeah. It does.
So what do you think about all that? I know there was a lot of concepts that I put at you there. A lot of it is Hartmut Rosa, but a lot of it is also, I'm just citing sources here, Hartmut Rosa, Richard Precht, the good old sociology, sociologist, Hartmut Rosa, philosopher David Richard Precht, and a couple of others in the mix there, and a couple of my own thinking that goes into all of this outlining of society.
I would say like you got like a perfect storm brewing there, because you have all the overstimulation in society, right? From all the shit that we're being fed from everything, and then you can like add into the mix the frustration that families are feeling, the strain, economies, all that shit on top of that, right? And then you can add in all the stuff that it comes with when families are like breaking up because of this same frustration, same overstimulation, being like all that stuff, like in addition to that, right, creating another wave of like mental illnesses or depression or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And so it goes around, so the circle goes around, right? And so you can like again like see where I'm like saying that the Western world is in a collapse.
Yeah.
As this is like progressing, and we are not doing anything
but
about
it's,
it.
But it is fun. Like, yeah, in terms of yeah, the Western world is in a collapse because of all this overstimulation of individuals. But the funny thing is that it's also happening other places. Like in Iran, for instance, there's a study that is a study by, what was his name again? Can't remember. He's investigating a lot of these things as well in Iran. And China is hugely capitalistic. Also, the welfare is growing. Oh yeah, and you were talking about the difficulty for parents, specifically for families, right?
Yeah. Have you paid attention in that lately?
What specifically?
That you have like way more problems with like kids and youth today, right, than you had like 20 years ago. There's like more violence. There is less things you can do as a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And again, like it is just adding on to the already top of the frustration levels, coupled with the overstimulation, because kids are also being overstimulated by like screen time, iPads, social
And you know
media.
what comes on top of that as well? That the higher this living standard gets, the higher the welfare in a society is. This is a rule from the philosopher Richard Brecht, and a lot of others that have figured out that the higher the welfare in a society is, the more the less kids people have.
Yeah.
And this is, it sounds contradictional, right? And you actually, when I was listening through one of our previous podcasts, you actually asked me about that in a previous podcast, why that is. Do you want me to re-explain that? Or do you want to take a guess on it?
Yeah, no, explain it.
Yeah, so, no, let me just, yeah, so the reason for that increased wealth means that people have fewer kids is because that with more money, with more wealth, comes more possibilities. More you have to, but also more that you can do. And with that increase in possibilities means that you have less time for each individual kid, and that means that you prioritize each individual kid much more than if you were poorer. So if you are poor, then you don't have much less options in your life in general, and thus you prioritize just to spend it with your kids.
Yes.
But of course, yeah,
this is how they're doing. This is how they're doing it in Nicaragua and a lot of the other parts of South America.
And of course,
well, technically, Nicaragua, it's Middle America, or Latin America.
A lot of uninformed. If we had like other people on here who were like thinking critically and who would like challenge me on this, who would maybe say, yeah, but a lot of rich people can also be family oriented and prioritize to like, yeah, maybe if we have a lot of money, then we just take the kids on a journey and then we go somewhere and we just are together with them. But in practicality, in the real world, it just often doesn't work like that. I mean, how often have you heard of the family father who just goes on a vacation somewhere without the kids because they feel like the kids are just dragging them down? I mean,
my dad.
Exactly. So a lot of money often is spent on things for yourself or your spouse rather than for your kids. And that's why there is this very general rule, and this is not just me, this is many studies have proven this, that the higher the living standard is, the higher the welfare, the fewer kids are reproduced. And you can also see this very clearly in Africa, which is still the poorest continent. You have the birth rates that vary from 4 to 5 all the way up to, now I think actually it's also declining there, but like you at least still have 5 kids per woman in, I think it's Nigeria. But in everywhere else, even in China, that has had the huge problems with overpopulation, because they're now getting wealthier and wealthier in China, then even they have now abandoned their one kid policy, because now their population is also declining because they're getting wealthier and wealthier.
So why did the upper class in the 1920s have like 5 kids? Was that because they didn't use condoms, or was it because it was just so normal to have 5 nannies and au pairs around? For
the upper classes in what?
In America.
During the 70s.
1920s.
1920s. I'm not familiar with that. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, because like if you're like looking at Gatsby, for instance, right?
Oh yeah, but then again, there's also I'm talking about the average trend here. I mean, Gatsby is like a multi-billionaire or millionaire. He's like the top one richest percent. I'm talking about the average, the richer the average citizen is.
I just like think like that back then it was like more normal to think that like I gotta get some kids to leave my legacy to like my empire to.
Yeah. In the upper classes.
Yeah. But today that doesn't seem to like be the case, right?
No.
But also like in general, if you're just like taking Denmark for an example, I don't really see like a big incentive to have kids.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting that much from the government for having kids, right? And you have to pay a lot for the institutions that they're putting them in, like kindergartens.
You do get more though than you do in the US and in Germany.
And then, and then there's also like this thing, like of like when, for instance, the kindergarten opens and closes, it doesn't really match with an opening day. Now, like a normal working day. Like for instance, it will like start like delivery like at 7:30 at my kids' kindergarten. And it will be like closed by 3:30 or something, right? And I'm thinking like, what the fuck if like people are like working a normal job from like 8 to 4, right? Then they don't have like time to pick up the kids on Friday and have to like either get a part-time job or get less hours to be able to accompany that. So I don't know. And then you also have the things like with how much it costs to actually raise a child, with the diapers, the food, the your time of like traveling and delivering, picking up. It is stress.
It is definitely. And you only have 2 kids. Imagine if you had to do that for 5 kids. It would be, and that's just my point, that because we have so many options, we are a very wealthy society in Denmark, we can't deny that. Because we have so many options, so much to do, then there's simply just time. There's not time for more than 2 kids in most cases. I think the birth rate is, let me just check birth rate Denmark real quick.
Probably
1.5. So it's even less than 2. There is only time in Denmark for 1.5 kids per woman, and that is because of all the reasons I've already outlined. Because we have such a high welfare standard, and now you mentioned the super rich, like Gatsby. How often don't you see? I mean, maybe you have like them having a lot of kids because they can afford it. But how often do you then also see that they have nannies to take care of those because the dad is too busy with running their business or something else, right?
Like Elon Musk, who has 14
but
kids.
How many of those is he actually nursing himself?
Probably
exactly. Because he has so much money that he has, and there. I'm going to drop life wisdom, or life wisdom number 1 right here. The more money you have, the more money means more possibilities, but also means more not requirements, but more it could like act as a hypnosis to you, because you have all these opportunities. You could do this. It's like you sitting and buying something on a website where you can purchase it, like on Amazon or something, where there's constantly ads that say you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And it's the same thing with money. Money is a lot. The more money you have, the more possibilities and the more basically ads or money ads or possibility ads are popping up in your brain that's saying, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And that's all the wants that we come back to, all the immediate wants, whereas the needs, the real needs, they can actually keep you grounded because that's your rationality that you can analyze, that if you step out of all this hamster wheel and go for a walk like I just did before we did this podcast, just walk down to the beautiful, real beautiful forest where I was just like seeing, what is it I really need? And to be honest, right now, not right now, because right now I'm like in this hype mode again. But when I was walking, I was like, what I really need is probably just this podcast to do this. I mean, it's a simplification. I need more than that. But I do need this podcast. That's one of the things I need.
On that, should we like end it now since we are over an hour into
I mean, this was I think one of the better comebacks that we have ever done. That's the way I feel.
Yeah. So guys, stay tuned for more episodes. We are aiming at 1,000 episodes by the end of the year.
Most definitely, and I'm so glad that we could do this because honestly, as I said, this is one of my needs and not one of my wants. I definitely do have that feeling, and this is not just. If I was just saying it right now, it could sound like if it was a want. But I've been feeling like this for the past 3 weeks or something ever since I started listening to the previous episodes. And now it becomes more and more clear to me that this is actually, I've analyzed this as to be one of my needs. So I would just like to say that to anyone who listens to this in the future, including myself, that, we will work towards 1,000 episodes, even if it's gonna be over my dead body, even though I have to.
By the end of the year,
go over fucking contanthjelp and cash help, but I will fucking make this a priority over until I fucking die, and and I will see. I will also see you guys in one of the next episodes, if not the next episode.
Right. So peace out,
Peace
guys.
out.